We are used to seeing the Duchess of Sussex battle the tabloids. We are used to seeing her battle her own family. But today, the news coming out of Los Angeles suggests she has finally picked a fight she cannot win. She isn't fighting a lonely father in Mexico or a newspaper in London. She has picked a fight with the House of Chanel, and unlike the royal family who stay silent to keep the peace, Chanel cares about one thing only: their bottom line. Breaking reports confirm that the French luxury house has officially filed a lawsuit that is sending absolute shockwaves through the legal corridors of Hollywood. We aren't talking about a cease and desist letter. We are talking about an $8 million claim for damages, fraud, and breach of contract. The accusation, a practice known in the retail underworld as wardrobing. But this isn't a college student trying to return a prom dress. This, according to the legal filing, was a systematic, calculated military operation designed to maintain a multi-million-dollar wardrobe on a budget that was running dry. Chanel alleges that over a period of 18 months, Meghan Markle treated their flagship boutiques like a free rental library. They claim she purchased, wore, and returned 47 distinct couture pieces. And the most terrifying part for the Sussex camp, Chanel says they have the receipts, the DNA evidence, and the security footage to prove it. Let's get into the mechanics of what is actually being alleged, because the details are staggering. Usually, when you engage with a brand like Chanel, especially for haute couture, there is a sacred trust. You buy it, you own it. The lawsuit alleges that Meghan, or rather a team of assistants acting on her direct orders, shattered that trust with a level of sophistication that borders on professional grifting. The complaint details a specific number 47 items, not a few dresses, but 47 distinct transactions. This implies that Chanel has been watching her for a very long time. They didn't stop her at item 5 or item 10. They let the trap reset over and over again, gathering evidence until the pile was so high she couldn't climb out of it. The scheme described is known as tag manipulation. Chanel claims that the Sussex team utilized specialized tools, specifically a retail tag gun, to carefully remove security sensors and price tags before an event. The garment would be worn for a few hours to maximize paparazzi impact, effectively using the Chanel brand to build her image as a fashion icon. Then, with surgical precision, the tags were reattached, the item was boxed up, and it was driven back to Rodeo Drive the very next morning. The excuses given for the returns were always the same. It was unworn, it was defective, or the fit was wrong. But Chanel argues this was a lie every single time. They are arguing that by wearing these items publicly and then returning them, she effectively stole the commercial value of the brand. She used their intellectual property to sell her books, her podcasts, and her image without paying a dime for the privilege. You might be asking, how can they prove she wore it if she reattached the tags? This is where the lawsuit turns into an episode of CSI. Chanel is not just a clothing brand. They are a laboratory of luxury. When high-value items are returned, they don't just put them back on the rack. They undergo microscopic inspection. And this is where the Sussex defense falls apart completely. The filing explicitly references item 14, a white silk blouse returned as pristine. Chanel's forensic lab report included in the lawsuit states they found traces of a specific bronzer embedded in the collar fibers, a brand Meghan is publicly known to use. But it gets more specific. They found chemical traces of Côte d'Azur by Oribe. The exact perfume Meghan has stated in interviews is her signature scent. They didn't just find makeup. The lawsuit alleges the recovery of DNA evidence, skin cells, and hair follicles trapped in the weave of the fabric. Chanel has preserved these samples. They are literally arguing that the biological markers on the returned clothes match the defendant. They are prepared to DNA test the sweat stains on a $5,000 jacket to prove she wore it to a nervous lunch with TV executives. This forensic evidence destroys the mistake defense. You cannot argue that you merely try to dress on when your body chemistry is embedded in the underarms of the garment. This level of detail suggests Chanel is out for blood. They want to humiliate her in a courtroom by holding up a stained garment and asking, "Is this your bronzer?" If the physical evidence is bad, the behavioral evidence is catastrophic. The lawsuit references Exhibit A through Z, which includes digital video files captured at Chanel boutiques. But the real bombshell is the audio. Chanel's legal team describes an incident regarding item 47, the final dress that broke the camel's back. This was a gold boucle gown allegedly worn to a high-profile awards gala in New York. The next morning, it was returned with a 3-inch tear in the hem and oily stains on the lining. The store manager refused the return. We have learned that during this confrontation, the store manager, sensing the volatility of the situation, began recording. The transcript of this recording, submitted as evidence, allegedly captures a voice identified as the Duchess screaming at the staff. And I don't mean a polite disagreement. I mean pure, unadulterated rage. The voice is heard shouting, "I don't care about the stain. Get it cleaned. I'm wearing this brand on my back, giving you millions in free press, and you're arguing with me over a dry cleaning bill? Do you know who I am?" When the manager stood firm, the threats reportedly escalated. "If you don't process this refund right now, I will tell the world that your staff was rude, racist, and incompetent. I will destroy this store." This is the nail in the coffin. This recording proves malice. It proves she attempted to weaponize her title, and more disgustingly, the threat of a false racism accusation to commit fraud. It transforms her from a difficult customer into a bully attempting extortion. Chanel didn't just take the abuse. They saved the tape, and now they are using it to justify punitive damages. They are arguing that her conduct was oppressive and fraudulent. But the evidence isn't limited to the store. In a twist that no one saw coming, the lawsuit reveals that Chanel's lawyers have successfully subpoenaed raw footage from the Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary. When you film a reality show, you shoot hundreds of hours of B-roll footage that never makes the final cut. Chanel believed that the cameras were rolling while this fraud was taking place inside the Montecito home, and it appears they were right. Sources familiar with the reviewed footage say there is a specific scene where Meghan is being fitted for a gala appearance in a Chanel gown. In the background, clear as day, audio picks up a discussion about hiding the tag. They explicitly discuss tucking it inside the lining and taping it down with medical tape so it doesn't show in photos specifically, so it can be returned the next morning. One voice is reportedly heard joking, "Don't spill the wine, or we own it." We own it. That phrase is legally devastating. It proves premeditation. It proves that at the moment they were putting the dress on, they had no intention of keeping it. They were treating a purchase as a rental without paying the rental fee. If this footage is played for a jury, the defense is over. You cannot argue good faith when you are on tape laughing about deceiving the vendor. Now we have to look at the money, because this is where Prince Harry gets dragged into the nightmare. The lawsuit notes that several of the credit cards used for the initial purchases were in the name of Prince Henry of Wales. But the issue goes deeper than just who paid. It's about the taxes. Chanel's lawyers have outlined a theory of unjust enrichment that involves the IRS. Here is the alleged scheme. The Sussex business management team would purchase a $10,000 dress using a credit card linked to Archewell Productions or one of their media LLCs. They would log this purchase as a production expense, a costume for a shoot or event. This allows them to deduct the cost from their taxable income. The next day, they return the dress for a full refund. The money goes back onto the card. The question is, did they remove the deduction from their tax filing? Chanel alleges they did not. This is known as double dipping. She was getting the cash refund from the store and keeping the tax write-off from the IRS. If this happened 47 times, we are talking about tens of thousands of dollars in fraudulent tax deductions. This is exactly how Al Capone was taken down. You do not mess with the IRS, and you certainly don't use Chanel as the vehicle for tax evasion. The release of this information in a public lawsuit is likely to trigger an automatic federal audit. If the numbers don't match, this moves from a civil dispute to a federal criminal investigation. The fallout from this filing has been immediate and brutal within the fashion industry. Breaking news from New York City confirms that Anna Wintour, the editor-in-chief of Vogue and the gatekeeper of the Met Gala, has made a definitive move. For years, there has been speculation about whether Meghan would attend the Met Gala. Today, sources inside Condé Nast tell us the debate is over. Meghan Markle has reportedly been placed on the permanent ineligible list. This is the fashion equivalent of excommunication. Why? Because Anna Wintour relies on Chanel, Dior, and Valentino to fund her magazine and her gala. She cannot be seen endorsing a woman who is legally accused of defrauding those very advertisers. A source close to Wintour reportedly said, Anna does not tolerate thieves. You can be controversial, you can be messy, but you cannot be cheap. And returning stained couture is the definition of cheap. This ban is catastrophic for Meghan's rebranding efforts. The Met Gala is the Super Bowl of celebrity relevance. By alienating Wintour, Meghan has closed the door to the only room left that matters. She wanted to be the queen of Hollywood, but she just got locked out of the castle. As if the walls weren't closing in fast enough, Chanel's legal team has played their ace card. They have secured a witness, and it's not just a disgruntled assistant. We can report that a subpoena has been served to a high-profile A-list actress and former close confidant of the Duchess. While we cannot name her for legal reasons until she takes the stand, sources confirm she is a household name with her own massive contracts with brands like Vuitton and Gucci. And here is the devastating part. She is cooperating. She is not protecting Meghan. Why? Because she has her own deals to protect. She cannot be seen as an accomplice to retail fraud. This witness has reportedly provided a sworn deposition stating that she personally witnessed Meghan using the tag gun to reattach labels. She witnessed the conversation where Meghan said, "It's only cheating if you get caught." This testimony destroys the rogue assistant defense. It places the tag gun directly in Meghan's hand. The betrayal of this friend is the final psychological blow. It confirms that in Hollywood, loyalty is transactional. Meghan is now a liability, and her friends are cutting her loose to save themselves. We are witnessing the end of the style icon narrative. The Fédération de la Haute Couture in Paris is reportedly drafting a new set of protocols for lending clothes to celebrities, informally dubbed the Markle Clause. The new rules are brutal. No loans without collateral. Full credit card deposits required. No third-party returns. The royal exemption that allowed her to operate on trust is gone. She has single-handedly made life harder for every other celebrity stylist in Hollywood. Chanel is asking for $8 million, not because the clothes cost that much, but because they want to punish her. They want to make an example of her. They are saying, "You might be a duchess, but you cannot steal from us." As the IRS looms and the subpoenas fly, the question isn't whether she will go to the Met Gala. The question is whether she will end up in a courtroom explaining why her bronzer is on a dress she swore she never wore. The golden coach has turned into a pumpkin, and this time there is no fairy godmother to pay the dry cleaning bill. But that wasn't the whole story. Just as the legal team was wrapping up the filing, a new whistleblower emerged from within the Montecito staff with a story about what happened to the missing jewelry. But that is a story for another time. If you want to stay ahead of the news that the mainstream media is too afraid to touch, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We'll keep exposing what they won't.